Hey there, everybody. This is Crystal O'Connor with Bullet Talk Radio, and I'm so excited to be behind the microphone again, at least for my own stuff. Those of you who know me know that I do the whole podcasting thing for a living, but this show is near and dear to my heart. So where on earth has the show been, right? I haven't actually recorded or released an episode since early 2014. Well, there's a little bit of a story about that, and I'll tell it as quickly as I can so as not to bore you too much, but I do want to get to where we're going. It started with a laptop that broke down. It's always the tech that holds you back, right? So my laptop broke, took actually like 2 months to get a new laptop, and once I finally did, I really wasn't very happy with the format behind Bullet Talk Radio. I always tell other podcasters that it's time to quit when you lose your passion or when it becomes a chore to get behind the microphone or to do the editing or whatever it is you need to do to make the podcast happen. And frankly, my passion was gone. It wasn't gone for firearms and the shooting sports and the need to make sure that we are all fighting to defend our rights. My passion was gone because I was constantly bringing up all the bad news, because I felt like it needed to the bad stories needed to be told so that people were aware of them so they could act on them. But that also made it very depressing and very frustrating. And those of you who have really watched the political and news scene on the firearms front, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm saying here, right? So I just got so frustrated, and it wasn't fun anymore. And I don't feel like I was sounding like I really was passionate about the topic, and that bothered me. So I took a step back, and I started taking some notes, and I started thinking, and I started listening to other podcasts. I mean, I've been listening to other podcasts, but I mean more podcasts in other categories, firearms included, other sports, some tech shows, some audio book style shows, and really took some time to think about where I wanted to go with Bullet Talk Radio and how I felt I could provide you with the best value, because at the end of the day, you're the audience. You're there who told your podcatcher to download Crystal's Bullet Talk Radio show every time it comes out, and y'all the ones who are listening to it. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters, that I need to be providing you with something valuable, or you're not going to listen. You're not going to join me in the conversation, and then I'm just a talking head here behind a microphone. And well, that's no fun either, right? So where are we going? So I'm going to switch the format up a little bit. It's going to be a once a week show, and we will make sure that the episode is out for your Monday morning commute. So I will record, edit, and produce everything on Sunday evenings for you. It's going to be about a half an hour long show. It might get a little longer. I doubt it'll get much shorter because there's so much to always talk about. But I'm going to aim for a half an hour, your average commute, so you can hear everything. And we're going to talk news, but we aren't going to talk just the political news or the boring news or the not so fun news. And we'll talk about the stuff that's important, but we're also going to talk about maybe new guns that are coming out on the market or new products for guns coming out on the market. We'll talk about some competition results or competitions that are happening. We will talk about funny quotes found out on the internet. So we're going to do a mix of things to try to keep it informative, but to also try to remember that there's a lot of fun behind firearms as well. Beyond that, it seems that you all really like product reviews. And the first 2 reviews that I did for the CZ75 compact 9mm pistol and for the Maryland holster, the bra holster, to this day, I receive feedback on these 2 product reviews, and those product reviews have been out for almost a year, and you guys are just eating it up and begging for more. So it's fun to put together. So I'm going to give you more. So once a month, I am going to release a product review. More often than not, is going to be a video review. In the case of the Maryland holster, that was a blog post review. But once a month, we will put out a product review. As the show gets back underway, as we get our sea legs back underneath us, I want to bring in some people to interview, some people who are in the shooting world, be it somebody who owns a gun store or a female shooter who is competitive. If there is somebody specific you would love to hear interviewed on this show, please send me an email, radio@bullettalkradio.com, or tweet it out, or send me a message on Facebook, or send me a message on Google+. However is convenient for you to get in touch with me, please do. And if there's somebody you would like to see on the show, let me know. I have a list of products to be reviewed. I have a list of people I would like to interview, but again, you're the audience. So if there's something specific you want to see reviewed, if there's someone specific you want to hear from, please do pass that along. That's a lot of stuff, right? So there's going to be a weekly episode. There's going to be a monthly review. Sooner rather than later, I'd like to get into a monthly interview in addition. And I also want to start visiting competitions and training classes. So I am hoping to be able to do some videos of Appleseed training or other training classes, or do videos from competitions, 3-gun competitions and so forth that are put on. So if there's a competition coming up, if there's a training class that you would like to see a little video from, or if there's anything like that going on that you have an interest in, again, please let me know, radio@bullettalkradio.com, so that we can consider it, put it on the list, see if it's something the organizers are up for doing. And I think that will give us a pretty well-rounded show that I really hope is worth your while. So with that, Bullet Talk is found in a number of different places. Of course, the website bullettalkradio.com is still alive and well. We are also on Google+. That's plus.google.com/+sign Bullet Talk Radio, or really if you just search Google+ for Bullet Talk Radio, you'll find me. Facebook.com/Bullet Talk, and YouTube.com/Bullet Talk Radio, and on Twitter @Bullet Talk Radio. I'm now also on Patreon. If you're not familiar, if you're not in the podcasting world, so to say, you've never heard of Patreon before, Patreon is a way to collect monthly donations for creative works. So you can become a patron of, in this case, a podcast. Why am I putting this online? Look, if you don't think that there's value in what I'm trying to provide you, or maybe you're in a hard place and you can't afford to, what have you, hey, I totally get it. Okay, the show is 100% free, and it's going to stay free. So it will still be available on iTunes. It will still be available on Stitcher. It will still be available up on the webpage, so on and so forth. Don't worry. That's all going to remain the same. All this is if you do find that it is providing you value and you have the ability to put forth $1, $2, $5 a month, you can do so at patreon.com. It is a secure transaction. You can use a regular credit card or you can use your PayPal account. And the reason that I'm asking for donations is, of course, there are costs associated with the web hosting account for the website to stay online. There are hosting fees for the media, but more importantly, for equipment upgrades. So I have a pretty nice microphone set up. I've already got that covered. I've got half decent camera. Obviously, you've seen some stuff from that, but what I'd really like to be able to fund long term is a more prosumer camcorder, because that will allow me to do some really awesome video of firearms in use and in action. And well, that's gonna cost me between $2,000 and $3,000, it seems. It might be a little on the high or it might be a little low depending on the model. I haven't really picked a model yet, but that's kind of what I'd like to do. So again, it's not required, it's just something I'd like to do. So if you are interested in being a patron, if this is something that's providing you value and you're, hey, I want to support the show, how can I do that? Well, you can do that at patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. That's patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. And if you go to bullettalkradio.com, there's also buttons there to support the show. So again, if you have it in you and it's something you're interested in, then please go ahead and do so. I will be 100% transparent in where every single dollar donated goes. Promise. So with that, let's get to the news, right? So, up first, Pew Research has found that 2 years after the Newtown shooting, there is a shift moving in favor of gun rights. It's about time, right, folks? 52% say it is more important to protect the right of Americans to own guns. 46% say it is more important to control gun ownership. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans, that's 57%, say gun ownership does more to protect people from becoming victims of crime. 38% say it does more to endanger personal safety. 54% of blacks say gun ownership does more to protect people than endanger personal safety. This is nearly double the percentage saying this in December of 2012, right after the Newtown shooting. There is an article at peoplepress.org that includes all the stats, all the charts, and more in-depth analysis. The link for that article will be in the show notes. Next on the list, threaded barrels for the Glock 19 are on the way from Silencer Co. Currently, barrels are available from the company for the G17 and the G21. They have not, from Silencer Co., been available yet for the G19. The barrel will be made of 416R stainless steel and will have a black nitride finish. Threads are standard 1/2 by 28. Length is 4.5 inches. It will MSRP at $220 and will work on Gen 3 and Gen 4 models. More details can be found over at thefirearmblog.com. Link will be made available in the show notes. I don't know, folks. It might be time for me to go ahead and get that Class 3. What do you think? I think so. The Examiner reports that Florida is aiming to outlaw militia becoming well regulated. Well, I don't know if they're looking to outlaw it, but there is some hinky wording found in the Floridian law, and I understand that similar wording may be found in other state law books that could be used to construe and prevent a well-regulated militia. I will read from the Examiner's beginning portion of their article. Earlier this month, an accused white supremacist in Florida named Marcus Fela, I may have just butchered that, apologies, was sentenced for 2 counts of the crime of paramilitary training. The sentence he must serve is 6 months in prison, vastly less than the 30 years he might have received. From WFTV 9, the man found guilty of leading a white supremacist group in Osceola, I totally butchered that, County has been sentenced to 6 months in jail. Marcus could have faced up to 30 years in prison after being found guilty on 2 counts of paramilitary training, but he instead got only a few months. The white supremacist accusation, if true, and there appears to be some question about that according to witnesses called by the defense, paints Fela as an unsavory and indeed reprehensible individual, but it does not, cannot, in a free society make him a criminal. As National Gun Rights Examiner Dan Codria notes in his online journal War on Guns, as for the guy being racist, if he hurt anybody, prosecute him. If he didn't, life is full of distasteful people. Tolerance doesn't mean approval as much as some insist otherwise. Unquote. So, okay, that's interesting. So the guy may have been a white supremacist, and now he's being charged with these paramilitary activities. So what law exactly is being referred to here that he is accused of having broken? Well, again, to quote from the Examiner, whoever teaches or demonstrates to any other person the use, application, or making of any firearm, destructive device, or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons, knowing or having reason to know or intending that the same will be unlawfully employed for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder within the United States is guilty of a felony of the 3rd degree, punishable as provided in S775.082, S775.083, or S775.084. Unquote. Reads similar to legal jargon, doesn't it? Moving on, again quoting, B, whoever assembles with one or more persons for the purpose of training with, practicing with, or being instructed in the use of any firearm, destructive device, or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons, intending to unlawfully employ the same for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder within the United States is guilty of a felony in the 3rd degree, punishable as provided in S775.082, S775.083, or S775.084. Here's the problem. Who decides what the definition of civil disorder is? Who decides what is considered unlawful employ in these cases? I mean, you could make an honest case for those laws being put to good use. However, as the Examiner states, even mild-mannered gun rights activists often see those who believe the Second Amendment is a guarantee that the people's means of resisting a tyrannical government includes the ability to form a well-regulated militia, right? I want to know what you guys think about this. I mean, let's forget for a second that he's even potentially a white supremacist. The entire premise of a free country is that you're free, and that comes with good, a lot of good, and it comes with bad, sometimes a lot of bad, but society's norms help to regulate the bad, right? You can't pick and choose when you want to be free and when you don't want to be free. Either you are or you aren't. And to say, well, this person over here looks or acts or believes a certain way, therefore they can be free, but that person over there thinks something slightly differently, or maybe even a lot differently, or maybe they're purple, therefore they can't be free. Well, it doesn't work that way. So, yeah, this is reminiscent of the 90s, folks. Don't you think? Anyway, so that's that story. And again, the link from the Examiner article will be in the show notes. Here's a good one for the books, folks. Ohio attempts to update firearms laws. A state senator from Claremont County has announced the Senate passage of House Bill 234. There are a few items worth noting in this bill. One is that it will allow non-Ohio residents employed in Ohio to receive an Ohio carry license as long as they complete the necessary requirements. Also, applicants who have successfully completed the Ohio Peace Officer training are exempt from the competency certification requirement when applying for a permit. A sheriff must perform a background check using the NICS system, the National Instant Check System, the background check system that most states use. Of course, Pennsylvania, where I reside, uses PICS, and, well, that's a whole nother soapbox entirely. Also, it clarifies that a person disallowed from obtaining a permit if they have renounced their United States citizenship or have been convicted of a domestic violence offense. The bill is now headed back to the House for a concurrent vote before it is sent over to the governor. The show notes will include the article on the topic from calgunlaws.com, and it will also include a link to the bill straight from the state legislator. And just for fun, I found this. It's a quote of the day from The Truth About Guns. This quote was posted on their site on December 12th, 2014. There have been almost 1,000 seizures at this point, and in many of the affidavits you read, these stories of how desperate people feel. The problem with guns is there's no going back from a gunshot to the head. If you take an overdose of pills, you can change your mind and call for help. This quote from Dr. Michael Norco, Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services Director of Forensic Services in More Guns Seized by State since Sandy Hook. Link to the quote will be found in the show notes. Again, that was from thetruthaboutguns.com. So if you want something less permanent and less definite, you should overdose on pills, I guess is what he's trying to say. Huh. Interesting. All right, folks. So that is... Oh, nope. So I have one more for you, actually. This one also comes from calgunlaws.com, and it stems out of Jefferson City, Missouri. And there, judges on the Supreme Court are considering whether or not convicted drug dealers, or more importantly, non-violent felons, should be permitted to carry guns. Now, the constitutional carry argument would say, well, yes, if you are walking free on the street, then you should have access to your rights. However, others say, well, felons should not have access to their rights. I want to know, before I dig into this story, this came out December 12th, I'll put the link in the show notes so that you can review it. And I want to know before next Sunday what your thoughts on this particular quandary are. Should non-violent felons be able to carry a firearm, or even own a firearm for that matter? Or should non-violent felons be stripped of their Second Amendment rights for having broken the law? I have many thoughts on this topic, but I'm going to hold that and I'm going to share those with you next week. So I want you, that's going to be your homework for the week, is go read this article. It's in the show notes. Go read the article and consider whether or not you think a non-violent felon should have the right to own and carry a firearm or not. And let me know what you think. radio@bullettalkradio.com. You can also tweet me at Twitter at Bullet Talk Radio. Again, facebook.com/Bullet Talk. If you go to bullettalkradio.com, you can even leave me a voicemail by hitting the voicemail button or using the contact form there. So please, please, please get in touch with me and let me know what you think about this quandary. Okay, so now for real this time, that is it for this week's episode of Bullet Talk Radio. Thank you so much for sticking in with me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you